are a few different charm kits available online. If you're thinking about putting together your own charm kit, don't think that you can go on Amazon and pick out here, there, and everywhere and you're going to make a bargain compared to the kits that are sold online. There's a reason they are as pricey as they are. I have a couple kits from Carrie Paris, and her website is, I believe, carrieparis.com. Don't quote me on that. Let me try to not disturb my camera. And hers are quite pricey, and there are some free casting sheets available on her website. And Karen Dalton Smith is the other person that there are a few people who do them. The two big people that I know who do them are Carrie Paris and Karen Dalton Smith. The difference between their two sets is that Carrie Paris has one set that's a little larger that has some random charms, and that was featured in a video on my website. The other set is this set. I can't remember the names of her sets, but this one transpires to the Lenormand deck. This is 36 charms that correspond to Lenormand symbols, and so this would be read the same way you would read Lenormand or Lenormand cards, and you can read that over Lenormand casting sheets or just putting them down. Karen Dalton Smith, Tea with Karen, does not offer Lenormand a specific 36 Lenormand charm set. She has add-on kits of various different sizes, so you can, that's how I built up this huge bucket of charms. And so you can buy them in separate little clumps, and then she has starter kits of various sizes. They're usually around 50 charms. Her kits always come with meanings. Carrie Paris's, I can't remember if there's any meanings or not. I don't believe there are. There might be a couple on her website. Karen sends out with the full kit comes a full book with keywords, and then the add-on charms have at least a paper with keywords for each of the charms, so it gets you started. On Karen's site, you can also, on Carrie's site, you can download the casting sheets. Anybody can download those at any time. With Karen's site, Tea with Karen, you automatically get 10 casting sheets for free that you print out yourself when you buy your starter kit bundle, the bigger bundle of charms. I'm not sure, but she might have a course for free as well as part of a promo. So if you watch her website, Tea with Karen, her Etsy, Tea with Karen, or her other website, Tea Leaf Reader, is it tealeafreader.com, you can see if you can get free courses with that as well. But the basic gist of it is she will get you set up with some charm meanings. There's also a group on YouTube, or a group on YouTube. She has a YouTube which has a lot of videos, but she also has a group on Facebook, which I help moderate, and she'll help, that'll help get you started. But other than the keywords that she gives you, you're gonna look at the symbols, one at a time, and kind of think, does it have a movement? Does it have a timing? Does it have a feeling? So like kangaroo, it's an animal. It moves, it hops, it tends to go quickly. So as a movement card or a timing, this would be kind of quick. It would be jumpy. So like for timing something, this spider webs might be something that takes time to build. So that might be something slower and more meticulous, because spider webs are very mathematical, whereas this is very jumpy. The similarities in this is that this has to be methodical. This jumps around, so if you're not methodical, you're going to be a little more scattered. Does this have a purpose? You're going to ask your charms, do they have a purpose? Do they have a timing? Do they have a direction? Do they have a feeling? You know, all those, you ask yourself these questions and it helps fit in the holes. It's just like looking at clouds or scrying into rocks or, you know, reading tea leaves in a cup. But it all goes back to any type of scrying. You have to translate that image into keywords, and then keywords that are going to relate to your question. If you have, like if you're trying to do a general reading for yourself, it's going to be a little more open-ended, which might be easier and it might be harder. If I was asking myself a question, or if I was asking a question about if a relationship was good for me and I got handcuffs, I might see that as a warning sign. Now, handcuffs isn't necessarily always a negative. It can be being attached. Like if you were doing a paper or writing a book, it might talk about the commitment through writer's block. But if you're asking about a relationship, if it's positive or negative for you, this looks kind of codependent. You're hanging on to the other person, you're attached and you can't get away. If you asked if your child was okay and your child was missing and you got the handcuffs, I'd be a little on edge, you know, I mean, that kind of thing. You might get the recycling symbol for an ex in your coming back into your life, whether that's an ex-friend, somebody that you haven't talked to for a while, an ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. Something from your past coming back around would be a good keyword for the recycling symbol. The wagon holds things. This is another thing. It's like, does it have a purpose? It moves things. The wagon moves slowly. It holds things. It has weight. It can be heavy. It can be loud. It can be persevering. When I think of going out west, on the Oregon Trail, etc., I think of perseverance. I think of adventure. So those are some ways to think of the key words when you're dealing with your charms. And then when you put them together, like I said, you have, like when you put the spider webs together with the kangaroo, you have jumpy and erratic and a need for balance and meticulous planning. It might even be, you know, in the webs. You could also see this as jumpy and some trouble or getting caught up in a web because of being jumpy and sporadic and needing to take more time and care, because the kangaroo takes care of their young. You might even need some help because, you know, a kangaroo is kind of partnered there. If you had this compass with the spider webs, again, it would talk about the need to find direction and really plot and plan. So that's just a very minor way of looking, you know, a very quick way at looking at the charms together. Let's get a couple more. And how I read them, you could just read them on a background. And here is one of Karen's backgrounds. This is actually a charm casting tray. This is a really neat item to have with the charms, because this is great when you're on the go, if you're traveling at all, if you're doing conferences as a professional reader, because you could have this flat, but it buttons up in the corners so that your charms can't fall out. And it is double-sided, so it goes both ways. This side is flat. I keep them flat for so long that now they're not used to having their edges up. But it holds all your charms, and then when you're ready to put the reading back, you can just undo one corner and then kind of shuffle your charms in there. That's one way of making sure that your charms don't get lost if you're on a bed, or you could even do this on a train, in a car, etc. So you have your flat mat on this side. Actually, I have this turned upside down. You have your flat mat on this side that you would cast your charms on, and then you have a general reading side on there. So, you could just cast your charms there and just a sprinkle. So right here we have The pentacle, the first thing that comes to mind for the pentacle is protection. And this is abundance. It's the first key word there. A bicycle takes some effort, but it's some movement. The wagon is also movement. Both of these objects tend to go slower. They move, but they go a little slower than, say, a car or a plane. They also both take some energy, or they need something to drive them. So they have to have, this thing needs a person to drive it, this needs horses and a person to make it go. So it's interdependent. It's almost like, where is your drive? If I got both of these symbols and I was thinking about that, you could say, where is your drive? You need to protect yourself, your motivation, and find balance, and focus on your abundance and your goals to find your motivation and drive, and do it. You wouldn't expect to get there very quickly, but to plug away at the journey. Now, going into a general reading, this is, again, you could flip this around and you could put these corners up here, but I like to leave it flat because I am on a table right here. And she has this nice area. It has all the areas of your life, and you could take this one at a time and just pick out one charm from your bucket and put it on each house. Or you could just do a spinch and then drop it around and see what lands, if it's relevant or not. So let's do it this way. We didn't put anything on spirituality, but that's okay. Home and family, so it speaks of, around the Thanksgiving time, or celebrations, getting together around the dinner table in particular. But it also speaks of abundance and gratitude. So being grateful and happy, being joyful in, around, and creating a joyful home. Leisure and social life. The frog speaks of, again, it's another symbol that jumps. It also transforms. And a frog goes from one level to a next. It can also be a symbol of fertility. So in your social circle, you might find that a friend is pregnant, or that your friendship circle is changing, growing, or transforming for the positive. There might even be a frog prince that you're missing out on. Career and business, the mathematical symbols. This could be for an engineer. This could also be plotting your path, getting things done. This reminds me of calculating your resume, but calculating where your next step is. Any kind of calculations in career and business. Taking things one step at a time, being square and level, so not cutting any corners and not being at all dodgy. Love and relationships, with the axe, it could be heartbreak. It can also be an X. It can also be taking power back. It really depends on where you're going and what charms are around it. With the axe by itself, if you know that you're in a tumultuous place, well, that would give you a lot of answers right there. If you don't have anything going on, or you think everything's good, you might want to draw another charm to get a little more information about it. Now, this is a great symbol. The crown is a great symbol to see with the axe if we're looking for a positive side of this, because this shows the wielding of the power. The crown literally is the person who holds all the power. The person who holds the axe holds all the power. So instead of this being cut away, it could actually be, how are you building the power in your relationship, or is there someone being too controlling? So you can look at that. Health and well-being, inspire. The inspire charm, in terms of health and well-being, first and foremost would tell me be grateful again and have gratitude. You'll notice that the messages can kind of bounce off of each other. And when I see messages that bounce off of each other, I know that I'm on the right track. But here again, health and well-being, I would say, have a gratitude journal, or use affirmations, or speak words of love, prosperity into your life rather than negativity. We create abundance through our words and through our actions, through our thoughts. And so this would tell me here to focus on the positive. The teapot under money matters could say, this kind of reminds me, the first thing that comes to mind with a teapot is usually social events and gossip and chatter. But my first sense, and I always go with my first sense if I have a first sense about it that's different than the key word. My first sense, it reminds me of grandma who stuffs money into the coffee pot, kind of saving money for a rainy day, and like, you know, putting money away in little treacherous places around the house. So this to me would say, save your money, maybe, you know, kind of keep a few little piggy banks stashed around. You never know when you might need something. Adventure and discovery with the bullet. I would say this is a fast moving and a very powerful symbol. So I'd say, you know, take charge and do something fun and exciting. But this is really exciting and blast off. It's super adventure. This to me says embrace your desires and, you know, do something super spontaneous. It could also say speak of something that has to do with speed. So if you were into, say, race car driving or going to the races, even horse races, this would be, you know, a symbol of doing something fast. So that's one way to read the general. The other way, you could just, like I said, take a pinch and scatter to see what was relevant in your week. And then here we have it's relevant in love and relationships. Do what you love what you do. So really, you know, commit yourself. Then we have best friends on money matters. So this might be getting some advice from a best friend. It also might be lending money and being a best friend in some sort of financial way. We have what I call the Gemini or the two personalities charm on both spirituality and adventure and discovery. And I'm glad that this came on the line, because this is a perfect way to show how when a charm goes on both places, you read both areas. So in spirituality, it would be take a look at your shadow side. Look at both the positive and the negative, that you have to reflect on what's going on and do that shadow work. Adventure and discovery would tell me to do something different. Step out of your boundaries. Try something that would be completely opposite of what you normally would do. So, and those would be the three things that would be relevant for your general if you did the scatter method. Another way of reading, there are so many ways. You have the casting sheets, which will show you some more of Karen's sheets. Let's see, here they are. I have, those are dowsing, those are for pendulums. But a lot of these the pendulum stuff here can be used with charms. This one, for instance, is a good one that could be used with charms, but it is meant for a pendulum. This is also pendulum. Here's the casting mats. This is for cards or charms here. These are Karen's. Most of them are Karen's anyway. These are some of the sheets that are available off of her website. And so you would just place charms, pick them up, or do the scatter method and place 1 to 3 charms on each area and then read it. So those are just some of those casting sheets. And then she has a number of different casting cloths. This is a giant table mat. It's made out of velvet, and it's her Labyrinth Through Time mat, which I have, you know, separately in a few different formats. I have it in a jersey. I have it in, it's almost like a mouse pad, which is great. This tablecloth has pros and con areas, 3, 6, and not 12-month read areas. Do this, don't do that. It's a great mat. She also has these stretch spandex double-sided mats. Now this is how you originally did it. You could just use a circle with a necklace and sprinkle your charms, and whatever lands in the circle is how you would read it. These are her teacup double-sided mats, which are absolutely gorgeous. She has different styles. And these dots are actually to be used as timing. So you could do a 12-month reading, you could do a yearly reading and split it up into the 4 seasons, but you would use these dots as timing. If you did a 12-month reading, you could look at the first 6 months on this side, the second 6 months on this side. You could split it up into pie sections for the actual months, things like that. And then on this side, she has printed charms. This gets a little deeper. And then when you scatter your charms, you read the charms that you get as well as where they land. So the Joker has landed on the cross. So you need to trust, and like the Joker can be new things like the Fool from Tarot. You could take all the meanings from the Fool from Tarot as well as the words that you think of when you're, about clowns. The cross could be positive or negative. I would look at the other things that go around it to see. There's nothing here negative. So to me, it's more like finding humor and balance, believing in your ability to find humor and move on, do something new. You have the diploma on key and letter, so it's literally a graduate letter or a diploma letter, and it would be a key, so it would be an important graduate letter. Something that you hang on to in lobster. What are you clinging to? And this is the bellows, which is about air, bringing new air in. So needing to find, a fresh outlook, not giving up on something, but finding a fresh outlook is how I would read those two together. The wheel on spoon, on hat, and on rose would be finding your direction, something of purpose. How are you going to get there? What are your steps? And maybe even get some advice in the hat, because the hat is somebody in authority. It's also how you think. So this is all about planning. Together, this is have some humor, do something new, but plot it out. So you have to have some trust. There might be some grounding there now that you look at the other charms. It might be maybe not being so foolish and jumpy, but trying to find some stability and purpose. Maybe finding a different direction after having graduated or found some new skill and level up in what you need to do. Then we have all these mats here. Here's another great example of another one of Karen's mats you can use with cards or with charms. Do this, don't do that, pros, cons. So you have the mask and the handcuffs as a pro. So it would say, you'll find out more about the situation, the person, or yourself. The mask will be revealed, something will be revealed, and there'll be some sort of commitment to it that will be positive. It really depends on the question here. The cons, you might need protection. So using protection as an example, saying that this was a date and you were thinking about getting intimate with somebody, this might actually speak of, opening up into something kinky. And this might be literal for handcuffs and a literal mask for BDSM. It might also just be, revealing a new side of yourself and feeling connected to someone spiritually, emotionally, sexually. The cons would be you might need to use protection in order to protect yourself. So there's that and that. I'm just coming up with random things. Most of her mats are double-sided, so this is a great spread. She loves to use the spread. It's one of her favorite spreads for a question, the situation as it currently stands, the way through, and the advice or outcome. And you can use that with charms or cards. This is great for charms. This has a lot more houses. Again, you can put a charm on each one or do the sprinkle method. This is chakras. So you could look at your chakra health, your spiritual health, and this relates to your body organs as well. So your spirituality, your third eye, you know, can be your consciousness, mental things, your throat and communication, your heart, your feelings, your relationships, etc. So you could just put a few charms, again, 1, 2, 3, and read these together. So inspire, this is information, and this is, I look at this as direction, like literally, you know, finding, like honing in on exactly where to put the ball in. So having to, you know, it's very detail oriented, so that, you know, you might need some spiritual guidance, some more detailed ways of honing in on the details and inspiration there. This is a beautiful mat to work with. And then Karen has she has a number of velvet mats. They come in different sizes and different types. This is a general reading mat. You have your social life, money matters, career, home and family, physical surroundings, adventure, spirituality, love and relationships. This one, again, it's on the smaller side. And she can custom do the center for you, but she has different centers that you can choose. If you have a business, she can do the center for you. It's a one-time charge. She'll hold that on file, and then she can do it on any mat in the future. But this one has a lot more houses. You can see self-care, release this, money, intuition, home and family, inner peace, focus on this, life purpose, overcoming your fears, stay on this path, love and relationship, unexpected health and wellness, career. There's a lot going on there. This one has the alphabet. You could use this with a pendulum, and you can also use it with the charms. It has all the year zodiac, and it has yes, no's. So that's really more phrased to the pendulum, but you could also sprinkle charms there. With the zodiac, you can also use this as seasons as well as months. So you can use that as timing. This is the same mat, but bigger. And again, this is another mat, but bigger. So it really just, you know, it's all about what size you are into. I don't have this all in frame. So, I mean, my camera only goes up so far, sorry. So, these are just some of the mats that you can get from Karen, and the charms look absolutely stunning against these velvet mats, especially the silver. Look how gorgeous that is. And then I can just pick them up and kind of shuffle them back into their spots. She also has a grand tableau casting mats that you can use your charms with. And that goes back to tasseography and her own system of tea leaf reading charms and cards. So she has made these same spandex mats and these work with her coins or her charms. You can use any charms, but I prefer her charm kits because they are complete and they are a very, very good price and value for what you get. So this is the whole mat, trying to get it all in focus. Again, these come in different varieties. There's a blue one, there's the steampunk one here, and there's a few others. I believe there's an Alice in Wonderland one. So, and here again, you can take one charm and put it on each house. And you read the charms that are, you can read the charms that are next to one another. Like you could do a 9 box or a 3 reading. Like, let's see, for instance, if I wanted to ask about money, I would use fish as a topic. Fish can speak about money. So let's do a 3 charm reading about money. So I place my charms there, and then I would read these 3 charms: the trophy, the spiral, and the birds. So trophy, this is great for money. This talks about rewards. The spiral to me would talk about everything you send out comes back to you, as well as going around and around. So I think of abundance here. So we have abundance, and then birds speak of communications. So this would tell me about communicating about money or communicating abundance. So you might even be speaking money into fruition. Then you add the words underneath. The dragon with the trophy. The dragon is about imagination, so that does fit the concept of speaking things into fruition. The fish is the money, abundance coming in. So the ring is abundance or karmic money. So this could also, in terms of karmic money, I would also think of ancestral or family money, because karma comes down through generations, so it would be generational wealth. Speaking with frog, this would be transforming. So again, it would be transform your communication, transform the way you speak about money, make it more positive how you speak about money in order to make money come to you. You could do a 9 box using this as a center, or you could put a charm on every single spot and read the entire thing, which would be a really huge reading. And that's a really great way to do a reading for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, even up to 18 months. Those are a lot of casting mats. But there's more. Again, you can do this. You don't need casting mats to do this. You could just use any old flat surface and just do 3 charms. Or let's pretend this is our blank surface. And again, you could use any spread you want, any tarot spread. You would just choose charms for it. You could do your traditional 9 box reading like this. There's also, and this is one of my favorite things about charms, is you can layer them with any system you want. So you could get out your tarot cards and you could use the charms as clarifiers. You can get out oracle cards, any type of oracle deck that gives you a great inspirational message for the day, anything like that. The charms, again, you can layer it with the charms for visualize world peace. It starts with releasing the bullshit. Now let's get a little more information about that using the charms. Like, what is the bullshit we need to release? And here we go. Okay, so the chief would be, he's the head honcho. So it's about ego, it's about being powerful. The noose, it's like, it's restrictive. It's not feeling like you're in control. It's negative. It's literally hanging. It's depression. It's suicidal thoughts. It can be other people judging you. Think about the noose. It's like they've already strung you up. Get away from that negativity. Get away from like the baggage, literal baggage. Like, what are you holding on to that that you don't need? Releasing the shit. It's literally confirmation in the card, which is really fun and cool. So you may need to rise above it. You may also need to think about your own ego, or somebody who's being egotistical in your life and being judgmental and who's restrictive or cutting you off. Maybe you need to cut them off. It's because it starts with releasing the bullshit. So it's just one way we could use those. And then there's even more. I want to say not available in any store, but available in her Etsy store. It's the Questions deck. Karen has a wonderful deck, and there have been other things like it, but this is amazing. It's just, if you don't know what question you want to ask, or maybe you want to just pick something random, let's see what we want to work on. How can I bring more abundance into my life? You can, or you can just find some inspiration and choose one. How do I ignite passion back in my life? And then pull some charms for each one. How do I bring more abundance into my life? I would say spirituality in the goddess symbol. And in the skull and the bones, I would say, like, what are you focusing on? You need to get to the bare bones. And sometimes you need to clear things out in order to bring things in. So the bones makes me think, get to the root of it. Go to the skeletons in your closet and into spirituality and find some balance there. How do I reignite passion in my life? The cat is kind of flirty. And the fox again is kind of struts in that, like, the fox reminds me of that, the redhead, and like Jessica Rabbit from the Roger Rabbit movie. So just being both of these, and this goes back to looking at your keywords and how do they move. Both of these kind of move in a slinky, quiet way. They're stealthy. They're, they can be sophisticated. You could see a cat on a runway. You could see a fox, you could say a foxy lady, or a sexy catty lady, are both the same thing. Like Catwoman from Batman was pretty sexy and hot, and then you've got the foxy lady. So there, how do you bring passion back in your life? You might want to do something that makes you feel sexy and passionate. You want to walk and act feminine, demure. Maybe dye your hair red like Tori Amos. Find a slinky red dress, whatever it is that makes you feel good. So these are just some ways that you can do this. You can also scatter your charms over books. Open up any book, spiritual books, Bibles and such have been used for centuries for pointing your finger and reading the word. And again, it's basically the same as looking at the symbol, finding the words that kind of relate to it, and back to your question. And that will wrap up my quick video on how to read with charms. If you have any questions, leave them below. I also, like I said, please subscribe to Karen Dalton Smith's YouTube, Tea with Karen, and you can find her Etsy store, Tea with Karen, and you can also purchase her stuff at tealeafreader.com. And I will see you soon. But yeah, post any questions you have below, and we can get a discussion going or another video. Join her Facebook group, and I will see you there.